Sometimes you just don't know if you want to kiss him or slap him.
Ow!
Either way, he'd probably like it. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Well, we're going bowling. You know what today is, guys, by the way? Patrick Johnson Show, the Get You to the Weekend edition. We're going to talk some football here. Also, JP2 head coach Sean Murphy coming up. They're playing for a state championship tonight. Philip the Ref Pilkington is alongside. And our one and only Joe Sampson, Joey Football. We didn't know if he was still around, but apparently he is. Today is Mike Houston's birthday.
Yeah.
How about that?
Have you texted him
Wow.
yet, Joe?
No, I completely blanked. It was the 15th. This time of the year gets so crazy for me. I have a friend whose birthday is on like the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, and the 15th is Coach Houston. And I know somebody's on the 17th. So I just completely lose track of like what the actual numerical date is. Cause I'm just like, okay, so-and-so's birthday was like 2 days ago. What day is it?
Shouldn't you really worry about birthdays that are in May?
No.
Okay, I'll remember this. All right, Joe Sampson. Couldn't care less.
I haven't
I have
missed
a
a P-Man
birthday
birthday yet. So
You haven't.
So a couple things that are fun. We were talking before we went on with Joe about our colleague, our former colleague, Chris Cook, Cookie. So a little ode to Cookie here on this. I know Ben B-Baby Byram is excited because you will not find a bigger Pirate fan, a more cynical Pirate fan you might not find, but you a bigger Pirate fan. I want to get your reaction to this cut, Joe Sampson. This was from the radio network last night.
38-31. It's a W, baby. It's a chance to get this team bowl eligible. And like I told the guys in the locker room, hey, it's great to be bowl eligible. It's great to get a win on the road in this conference. Hey, but we ain't done yet. We got work to do. We got work to clean up. I kept reminding those officials on the sideline there. I said, hey, you know what happened last time we were in Tulsa, right? They had no clue. But I said, we got screwed over here, so make sure that stuff don't happen again. But we found a way to pull it out at the end and win a football game.
That's the best. I reminded the officials
the
we got
truth.
screwed.
it's the truth.
Blake Carroll
Lot
let
of
it go
guys.
about as well as Joey Football did.
A lot of guys still fired up about the Tulsa screw job. It's the truth. I texted him that. I said, finally got one in Tulsa, an expletive Tulsa.
How
And he said,
bad?
hell yeah.
How bad was the officiating in that thing last night?
Good God. How much time we got?
What was the penalty on the 80-yard run?
I don't. They tried to say it was unnecessary roughness, that Dustin Hall like hit him too high on a back block. And I was like,
Are they
okay,
saying up around the head or something?
I
Is that what they're
think
trying to
so was what they were trying to point out. Look, I love ESPN to death, the worldwide leader, when it has a good crew. Dan Mullen and Rainey, like they're just
It was
not.
bad.
It was bad. The mics were too high. Mullen's over here rambling about some coverage that nobody's playing. They don't have a rules analyst where you can actually go to and be like, what was the penalty there?
Right.
It was just
Which you
like,
would think they would do on Thursday night since it's a
Right.
little bit of a
Yeah.
showcase.
You're
Yeah.
the worldwide leader. You're the game of that night. You're not competing with anything right now besides the NBA, maybe. And even then, like
There
it's
was
not the
one
same.
NBA game on
There
last
was
night.
one NBA game. You're competing with Commanders Eagles, which was a stinker itself anyway. Thank God I took Saquon Barkley over yards. But you don't have a rule analyst? I don't understand. Like, you're the national game. Like, it's not like it's a plus game.
Right.
So I
You
did
have
kind
four
of
people out there.
in the replay of that run. I did see a bit of a hold from Dustin.
Yeah.
But here's the
But
thing.
that's not what they
So,
called.
But
That's
that's
not what
not
they
what they
called.
called.
That's not what they called. And here's the other thing. There are two types of penalties. There are player safety penalties and there are technicality penalties. Player
Yes.
safety penalties must be called at all costs. Technicality penalties are one of those where if you gain an advantage, it's a penalty, but if it's like 48 yards away from the play and it doesn't affect the play, you let it go.
In this case,
That
78.
hold was, I mean, Rajay was on the opposite hash and was so far past that guy. There's no way that guy would have caught Rajay, even if had they called the hold. But like you said, they didn't even call it. They called him, and you hit him high, then it should be freaking targeting then.
Yeah.
If you're hitting a guy high,
It wasn't
started on the
unsportsmanlike,
targeting. No,
right?
it
It was
wasn't.
not
no,
un-
they
I-
didn't
No,
bump
it
him.
was
Okay.
just unnecessary roughness, I believe is exactly what they called.
Which usually means you like suplexed a guy, and he
Yeah,
didn't suplex
or
him.
Right.
or like a clipping block. I'm surprised, like you
Right,
can't go
yeah, yeah,
clipping
like
the
a
opposite way, but
crackback.
normally it's a clipping,
Right.
clack, or blindside block they called early on in the game.
Don't
on,
get me started
Chase.
on blindside blocks.
That was a bad call too.
Yeah,
was a
It's a
terrible
stupid rule.
call.
It shouldn't even be a rule. That's the problem. They
mean,
shouldn't even have the
Sowell
ability to call that
actually-
freaking play.
he used his hands.
So well he did nothing
what
to
they
crack
teach
back
you.
on the guy. Yeah,
That's what they teach you.
Some
You know,
bad
that's
officiating in that
Tulsa
in that game.
and officiating. Shocker, but it's fine.
Right.
We got the win. That's okay.
So the Pirates are bowl eligible. Here's what we have as bowl lock-ins for the American that are guaranteed. Military, Lockheed Martin, Wasabi Boston Bowl for Fenway
Yep.
Bowl, the Independence Bowl, and then the American can fill up to 4 of these 8 bowl games. Birmingham, Frisco, Cure, Gasparilla, First Responder, Myrtle Beach, New Mexico.
Yeah, and all
We
that
have a
Hawaii
depends
Bowl,
preference.
the Holiday Bowl in Hawaii's not on there anymore.
No,
Not
it all
in
depends
the-
now
not
on,
in the rotation
playoff
this
with
year,
the
they're
4.
not,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, they're not in the rotation this year. So the American has up to 8 spots. It could fill.
Nothing says Christmas like Shreveport, Louisiana, baby.
So let me give you the
Independence Bowl.
dates on the ones that are certain that the American has
Mhm.
direct ties into. The military and Boston and Independence Bowls would all be played on the 28th of December.
Yep.
The Lockheed Martin would be played that Friday at noon, the 27th.
Yes.
All right. So of those 4, do we have a preference?
I mean, so from the player perspective, it comes down to 3 things. And now in this new age of NIL, nobody really cares about this anymore. But it was always the bowl gifts, the bowl money, and the per
Swag
diem.
bag. Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
swag bag. So Fenway, I believe it was Cincinnati went in 2020 when it was canceled.
Yeah.
And they got like a baseball and like a $300 gift card, and people were like, this stinks. The Military Bowl took really good care of us, and the Birmingham Bowl did the same. The Independence Bowl,
Wait
I
a minute
haven't
though.
heard
You get a
great
base. You get
things.
like a
Yeah, it was
Boston baseball, like a Boston used baseball, like a game used.
No, commemorative baseball with
Oh,
like the Fenway Bowl
okay.
logo on it and like the back, and then I think it said like your name and number. There's always
Well,
some
that's
kind
nice.
of commemorative thing. Yeah, the commemorative thing I enjoyed most from the bowl game was Birmingham Bowl champs hat. Yeah, so that's what you're really going
Yeah.
up for. You're missing Christmas either way. You know you are. You
Yeah.
accept it. You tell yourself, do you want to do 3 things? You want to practice on Thanksgiving when you're in high school. You want to play or be away on Christmas when you're in college because of a bowl game. And hopefully you're spending New Year's with your best friends because you guys are in the playoff. Now it's a different thing, but those were always the 3 things you hoped for when you were a player.
You know,
Joe Sampson, Philip the Ref Pilkington, Patrick Johnson here. Go ahead, Pilk. I'm sorry.
So you asked our preference. I would prefer the Fenway Bowl because that gives you the best chance at getting an ACC matchup, and I would
True.
love to play State or Carolina.
Oh.
So I'm
So-
taking the total pirate
State-
route here, and I want to.
Does
I
State have 6
understand.
wins?
So
No, they do not.
I didn't
no,
think so,
they're-
right?
they're-
Yeah.
Carolina
They're at
plays
5.
tomorrow to get bowl eligible, and State's got 5, I believe.
Okay. I was
Um,
making sure I didn't miss one.
And the Pack are off this week from football. You could make the argument they've been off the whole
Been
year.
off the whole
but,
season.
They're off
Yep.
last week.
Absolutely.
Duke
Hate
made them look bad last week. All right, so then of the remaining, because those top 4, do they go to the preferable 4 teams?
So that's a great question. The bowl chooses you. If you don't have
Okay.
a tie-in as far as like the college football playoff, like when Cincinnati went that one year, everything got thrown awry. So then it was bowls choosing bowls. That's why SMU, I think, wound up in one of the good ones, and then Memphis wound up in one of the New Year's 6 bowls on top of Cincinnati being in the playoff that kind of year.
Right.
Because
Right.
of like how things choose and how they shake out. The bowls choose you. So when we went to the Military Bowl, they wanted us. They picked us before the end of the
Right.
year. They were like, we want East Carolina. They're a big draw. Birmingham was a little different because Birmingham, they were waiting to see how it shook out one more time with how I believe it was Tulane and UCF were playing in the conference championship that year. They wanted to see who was where.
Right.
Because if UCF hadn't gone to Gasparilla, we were going to Gasparilla, but UCF went to the Gasparilla Bowl. That's how we wound up in Birmingham. So
Right.
it's less committee, more of decisions. The athletic directors talk and they see like what's the best game for the crowd and
Right.
the draw and all that stuff.
All right, so here's who's going to go bowl eligible. East Carolina now. Memphis, Navy, Tulane, and Army.
Yeah. Yep.
Possibility North Texas, distant possibilities of.
By the time
well,
we
I
go to
should say
bed tonight,
distant.
North Texas will be bowl eligible,
Right.
I believe. Yeah.
They should be.
And then
They should
South
be.
Florida and UTSA, and this is as we're sitting here right now.
Right.
South Florida and UTSA still have a little work to do. They have to win 2 of their final 3 to get bowl eligible. Charlotte is still technically, mathematically, not eliminated. They're 3-6, but their next loss, they're done.
Yes.
Yeah, so it could go as deep realistically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is 8. So that would fill all 4. But it also could very realistically not go that deep.
Right.
But what I'm getting at here is right now it doesn't look like that the American would be the representative, unfortunately, in the playoff.
No.
So you've got Army, Tulane, Navy, and Memphis. Would they occupy those 4 spots? Because you got to think military and Lockheed Martin are going to take Army and Navy if they can.
Yes and no, because you want the draw, you want the fan base.
Well, that's
So
those are military. They're the
how
national
many
draws.
How many cadets travel for the games? That's really what the majority of the crowd's going to be. That's why they avoid it.
Boston
Navy's
may
home
make
stadium
sense.
also. Boston makes sense.
Boston makes sense for both of those 2, actually.
Boston makes a lot of sense. It's just the military bowl sometimes feels a little like on the head.
I got you. So let's say they send. Let's just have some ha-has here. Let's say they send Army to the military bowl, just out of because I'm sinister. Let's say they send Navy to the Lockheed Martin. Let's say they send Tulane to Boston and Memphis to the Independents. No rhyme or reason to any of that.
Right.
All right. So then that puts East Carolina the 5th on the outside there looking in. Do we want Birmingham, Frisco, Cure, Gasparilla, First Responder, Myrtle Beach, or New Mexico?
You sure as hell don't want New Mexico. Gasparilla is at least in Florida, so if you're a player,
Gasparilla.
Yeah, that's one where you can.
But those are before Christmas, and those before Christmas bowls are really tough for people.
They are. So, but here's the thing.
But the players want to be in the warmth. We
players
spent
want to be in the
Christmas in Birmingham, Alabama. It was freezing.
So here's the other thing you got to take into consideration. If Blake Harrell doesn't get the job, how many people hop in the portal? You might have like 14 guys on the roster. You want to play a bowl game ASAP if that happens.
That's a very good point. They could, depending on the decision, they could take the earliest bowl game to try and get as many guys roster-wise and then still be able to jump in the portal. That's a good point.
Would be the Frisco Bowl on the 17th.
In Tejas.
Yep. 9 o'clock at night, Pilk.
I'm for that.
Patrick Johnson show rolling right into the Pirate Game Day countdown.
Yeah, that would be the best 4 hours.
It's a Tuesday.
My gosh. That'd be
most
a fun
exciting 3.5.
Yeah. It'd be
well, no,
3.
we'd be on the PJ show, then we'd have the pregame show, and then
that would be fun. And then also I don't really want to rush back after Christmas, so might be TMI, but I got one of those really bad 24-hour bugs last year on Christmas and not get to enjoy it. Man, I am looking forward to hanging out with family and then going to my dad's friend's house and having a crazy Christmas and not feeling like traveling back to Greenville the next day. Just saying. I do not want a 27th or 28th bowl game, man. Give me early.
Well, all of those 4 locked-in bowls that we just talked about are all after Christmas. Birmingham is after Christmas. And then New Mexico's after Christmas. All the rest of them are before Christmas. First Responder, though, January 3rd. I'm here for that.
That's
late. I can live
Friday
with that.
night? It's a Friday
That'd be
night
a Friday afternoon at 4.
Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon at 4.
Okay.
That's what the Birmingham Bowl used to be on that slot. It used to be on
Joe,
January.
What do you want? Pilkington, for self-serving reasons, doesn't care what happens. So what do you want?
For the players, I want them to go somewhere warm. I mean, we were itching and hoping we were going to wind up in Hawaii on Christmas Eve 2 years ago when it was a possibility. Just to go to a destination like that with your boys and have that time with each other. That's what you hope for. From a tier perspective, the later the bowl, the better the stuff. That is the way that it shakes out. That's the way the TV contract is written with ESPN and all those other streaming platforms now. The later you get, the better the stuff, the better the gear. So that's why you're hoping for the later game. It's usually a better one. Military Bowl took really good care of us. Birmingham Bowl took really good care of us. We heard really bad things about the Myrtle Beach experience for Marshall because we had a ton of players that we knew that were there when they went.
Yeah.
I didn't hear great things about the Independence Bowl, but I also only heard like secondhand accounts, so I can't confirm anything. But people said
Right.
Shreveport, Louisiana around Christmas is not the most fun environment to be in. New Mexico is just New Mexico. So, I mean, it's just the same as going to Tulsa. There's nothing out there, nothing but flat.
Yeah, and it's cold in New Mexico usually.
And it's cold. It's a desert.
So, Patrick, had we played in the Hawaii Bowl, I'm going to tell you I would have paid a lot of money.
You know
I want to know how much
who played in the Hawaii Bowl, don't you? Jay Sunholder. Go ahead.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
How much would you have paid for us to be in the Hawaii Bowl and seeing Joe standing on a diving board in a red one-piece bathing suit with Maliki Liki Maka by Bing Crosby being played like the chick in Christmas Vacation?
Hell yeah.
A good number one, a good producer would maybe bet us to break, even though we may do an update out of this segment. A good producer would still play that.
All right.
Because now I have in my mind Joe Sampson in kind of like the Cousin Eddie deal with a red onesie sort of thing with a Speedo on the thing.
Oh, right, I see him very much more as Cousin Eddie in the stogie and the beer,
Yeah, so we've jumped around here a little bit.
We've
talked about the Bulls and didn't really talk about the game all that much. But did Caton Hauser appear mortal last night? And why did he struggle so much, Joe?
It's his third start. I mean, there's so much more tape on the guy. You finally have seen how he feels comfortable. When you get in the game like you did against Army late like that, it's not a fair judgment of what you can do, what you can't do. You're kind of just like picking up the pieces. The last two starts, Temple was terrible, so you can't really go off what Temple did defensively to kind of like hold them up and try and hold them, if you would. You have to go about the game on the other Thursday night, which is another short week, so it gets difficult. It just gets interesting as far as like your evaluation of him. But the more tape you have on a quarterback, the more you know you can play this coverage. You can bring it. They brought a lot of blitz last night, a lot of hot stuff where you had to look out and get the ball out fast, and receivers just didn't seem to turn their heads quick enough where it made a ton of sense for them to get the ball out that way. And other than that, also, it's JDB finding his rhythm with him. Like, everybody has a honeymoon period, but what happens when you throw the interception that you shouldn't have thrown, that gets tipped, that gets caught on the 13, I think it was, inside your own territory on the second drive? Where do you go from there? You respond to adversity. What do you do when you do this? What do you do when you miss this extra point? How does he come up the next drive knowing you need a touchdown again? And it's part of it. I mean, the guy's only started, I think now, 10 games, I think it is. He's 6-4. I think it is, or whatever it was. He started 6 at Michigan State, and I think this was his third. So that's his 9th game he started.
No, he started 4. He started the Army game here.
He started 4? Yeah. Did he start Army?
Yeah.
Or did he come in at halfway?
He came in halfway through Charlotte. He started Army.
Came in halfway through Charlotte.
Yeah,
started
so that's his
Army.
10th start. Yeah. That's not even a full season yet. You've had this kid, like, for his way of seeing game.
Yeah. Boy, how about Rajay Harris? Some old school tough running last night from Rajay, and his 2 touchdowns that did count were explosion plays, 20+ yard runs each. So I mean that was a real positive thing.
Yeah, I texted him. He was really mad at me. I texted him, I was like, congrats, obviously, but he owes me a hat trick. He should have had 3 touchdowns, and he knows it. So we were messing around a little bit on text, and I was like, you owe me a 3rd. And he said, I'll get you this next week coming up then. So I'm excited to see where he's going to go and what he's been able to do. He looks great. Everybody was worried after the knee this year. And then the JDB offense, everybody was so concerned about pass. They're running the ball fine. They're doing great things now that they've spread things out and they've opened up the running lanes.
Hey, 3 games in a row over 200 yards rushing. Credit to the offensive line, but also credit to the ability to throw the deep ball that is causing this defense, whoever's defense, to not suck up, put a lot of guys in the box. It's opening the running lanes. However, they've been able to zone scheme. They've been able to gap scheme. Anybody who's been in the backfield has been very patient, not quite Le'Veon Bell-esque, but they've been very patient and letting the blocks develop, and they've gotten downhill. We have not seen a lot of dancing from these running backs. Credit to the whole team and this team's ability to run the football.
It is the Patrick Johnson Show. That felt to me like kind of an old school Carden McNeil era game, and that it was just
Yeah.
kind of a wild
Just
game.
ugly.
Yeah,
But
ugly.
still.
In a way a little more offensive, but the Pirates
Mhm.
won their first conference championship. Kind of an ugly game out in Tulsa with Skip Holtz as the coach. So I mean, it just was. It had that feel. This whole thing right now kind of has a feel about that. It has a much different feel than it's had, maybe since that Birmingham Bowl year, but certainly that would have been the exception to the rule the last decade. This has a very old school feel, and that was a wild game last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's the second most wild game we've ever played against Tulsa. I'll say it. The first is still the Tulsa Screwjob. I mean, Jared Wilson has the football, and they call the guy down, and we lose that game. So it's its own thing. It always seems to go that way. You play Tulsa on a Thursday night. We played in my freshman year. It was like 38-7 on like Thanksgiving weekend. Tulsa's always just like a difficult fight almost. I don't know what it is. They've had 4 different head coaches now in this time, so who knows? But that's just what Tulsa is. It's just an ugly game. You got to go win. If you had to equate it, it's like when you say, "Oh, did the SEC team go win on the road in November?" For some reason, it's the same kind of fight every time you go to Tulsa. You just have to find a way to like thug it out and pull an ugly win out.
Well, you even think about last year here in Greenville, it was probably the best game the offense had played all year. And you would have told me going in that game, the offense was going to put up the numbers we did, we would have lost. And it was the worst game the defense had played all year. The defense had been damn near flawless throughout last year's campaign, despite pretty much having a 3 and out on the opposite side of the football every time. And, yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah.
Has Blake Harrell done enough to earn the job?
I think he has. I think he's done enough to earn the job. It comes down to 2 things. 1, does the university want to stick with Blake Harrell? And 2, does Blake Harrell want to stay in Greenville? That's the other part a lot of people talk about. You have a great situation. You do. When you become the head coach like that, things change as far as expectations. Right now, yes, Coach Harrell's doing a phenomenal job. He hasn't had to do the recruiting. He's not doing the radio shows. He's not doing these appearances. He's not doing the commercials.
He's with me every Monday night.
He's with you every Monday, but he hasn't done like the off-season run of stuff. There's a whole lot more to being the head coach than calling the plays on Sunday. And you know that better than anybody with the way we deal with them and the way they have to do media availability. And he started to take it over. But it's only been 3 weeks. Does he want that kind of stress? Does his family enjoy that kind of stress? I say this with the nicest way possible. Greenville's some of the nicest people. If they would have lost that game last night and his daughter goes to school today, how is that going to impact the family? How does that kind of reaction hit him?
Right.
Does he want that for the children? That's the stuff you have to weigh. It's more than just a business decision. It's a family decision. And especially when it comes to being a college coach, everything is so finite under a microscope. It comes down to his decision and if ECU wants to stick with him. But I think he should be the head coach. I think there's no energy better than what they have right now.
He's not going to turn it down.
No, I don't think it would be a turn down. I think it would just be another opportunity.
Are you just playing devil's advocate?
No, I'm saying if somebody else calls, you'd have to weigh it the same way.
Oh.
And I agree if somebody else calls, and I do get what you're saying with the kids going to school, but also if somebody else calls, you got to remember he does have 3 kids right now who are in school, who do have friends in Greenville, who would then have to be uprooted, who are involved in local sports, who have a spot on teams, who have a chemistry with other girls they go to school with. And it's tough to move any family, and especially one with 3 kids. And 2 of them, I think, are in middle school or thereabouts. Yeah. That's the hardest age as it is.
Yeah. Your point, though, he is not done the recruiting at the level that we're talking about.
It's just it's part of it. That's the conversation now with NIL too.
And then he's but Blake's well enough liked, and I think he's such a good guy that he wouldn't mind calling somebody. That was a big sticking point. Mike didn't like the fundraising calls, but I mean that's part of it now. You got to do it. I think Blake will. And then they're doing stuff, Joe, like, playing cornhole in the team meal the night before the game, or they're playing video games. I mean, they're doing stuff that other programs have done.
It's just loose.
Here's the other thing. I was talking to Igo about this the other day. Blake Harrell knows a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he talked to the guy out at Boise. They're apparently boys. He talked to Ruffin McNeil, which I thought was interesting during the off week. I mean, he just, and then like Greg Hudson, who's in town, knows Blake and has great things to say about him. I mean, Harold knows a lot of people.
Which
Yeah,
is
he
well
really
connected.
is.
You know what's funny though is like he coached high school football in Western North Carolina. It didn't like his dad was some big time
No.
coach. Like if anybody you would expect to not be well connected, it would be Blake Harrell because he's always been at small programs. He's always he grew
Citadel,
up in Western North
Lorraine,
Carolina. Yeah,
Kennesaw
But
State.
You know what it proves though? That's why he'd be willing to make the fundraiser calls. Blake can play the politician side. He can play the ball coach side, but Blake is a friendly face. When he walks in a room, like even if you didn't know him, he's the guy you'd want to go talk to. He's just got this nice smile and this little pep in his step, and like who wouldn't want to be friends with Blake Harrell?
Yeah.
Look, I think it's exciting. We'll get a look at North Texas tonight, and then that game in Denton, Texas next Saturday. Airtime for our pregame is TBA because of basketball next week, and I'm sure they'll put us on if they can at 4 a.m. doing the pregame. So that's
Heck
probably
yeah.
what we're looking at.
I'll bring the coffee.
Hey, look, that's when I wake up. That's good. As far as I'm concerned, let's go ahead and get it over with. 5 a.m. sign on. Let's do it, baby. Next Saturday. Yeah, going right. I think that'd be great. Do we have audio, Pilk? We have audio, don't we?
Yeah, we have some.
Okay. All right. So I tell you what. You want to do Hold My Beer, guys? Do we want to do that?
Do you
Well,
wanna
I
do
can
that?
do a hold my beer.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to take a break. First, Pilk is going to give you an update.
All right.
And then we're going to come back. And then we're going to do a Hold My Beer. Why not? Great producer has that song queued up by Bing. And you can picture now Joey Football on a diving board
So
in a Speedo with a dickie, a dickie that is, and then a wife beater T-shirt tucked into the Speedo.
in DC,
I'm combining
me
all
and
the
Shane
Cousin
Calhoun
Eddie looks.
walked into Team Meal with this on a boombox, by the way, in Christmas hats. True
Did you?
story.
Oh, my goodness.
You guys did?
Mm-hmm. When I
You'll
bought a
appreciate
boombox at
this.
7-Eleven.
You'll appreciate this, Joe. There's a Jimmy Buffett version of this song that's really
Yes,
good.
there is.
Yeah.
The day after Jimmy Buffett died, we had a pregame show, and Dom was supposed to
in
be playing only
September,
Jimmy
and
Buffett
Dom
songs, and he
played it.
played this one. It was like September. We're like, Dom, what the hell? He's like, I didn't know it was a Christmas
Yeah,
song.
He did. Love that guy.
Well, he played Buffett that day. That was a
least
he
good.
did play
That
Buffett.
was an appropriate remembrance of Jimmy Buffett. Dom Kasulki,
I think we're gonna lose.
great American. He's on the bandwagon now, by the way. All right, we're taking a break. Here is Pilk with a 94.3 The Game sports update and Pirate report, and then Hold My Beer coming up.
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in Pirate Athletics, it was all W's last night, starting with the football team who is going bowling. And a big fourth quarter comeback, which saw them outscore their opponents 14-7 to clinch that 38-31 victory. A big thanks to Rajay Harris, which Coach Harrell said he's very proud of the way Rajay has played.
So proud of Rajay Harris and just what he means to this football team and what he did tonight. I mean, pops the last touchdown and had one call back. There's about 75 yards there that, and I looked at that one really close, but just really proud of the way he ran and putting this team on his back and just the way he's leading this football team and running the football tonight with that old line as well.
And the women's basketball team, led by Jayla Herp with 14 points, defeated the Furman Paladins 67-51 to improve to 2-1 on the season. Their next test will be a little tougher on Sunday. They travel down to number 1 South Carolina. Speaking of South Carolina, that's where the soccer team will be tonight as they take on the Gamecocks in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And that is there after winning the conference championship. That game's at the top of the hour, 6 o'clock, and basketball tomorrow right here on 94.3 The Game at 3:30. Network coverage for that 4 o'clock tip against George Mason. Colts have announced that they're starting Anthony Richardson. He is back under center this week. That'll do it for our scoreboard update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back with Hold My Beer.
Taking the rage out of your drive home.
You just cut me off! But it's no big deal.
Patrick Johnson on 94.3 The Game and the new IBX Media app.
All right. Are you doing it or am I doing it, Pilk?
I don't know. Who wants to throw to it? You're the host.
Do you have something you need to get off your chest? Get off your chest.
I am not here for rage. I'm here for revenge.
Did your favorite team blow another game?
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Or is there just something that's driving you crazy?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to let it all out.
You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
With another edition of Hold My Beer. Hold My Beer.
I was in the car recently and heard the show that I lifted this segment from. And our open is better produced thanks to Mark Miller than their open.
Everything
for the
Mark
segment.
Miller
And then I
does is
thought to
better.
myself, look at them, they're stealing our segment. But then I forgot, we borrowed the segment from them. So never mind. All right, I don't really have anything I can complain about that wouldn't get me sued. So I'm going to defer to Joey Football for a double Hold My Beer here, possibly.
Oh,
A beer and a
get a
shot,
bonus.
perhaps. All right, so a bonus Hold My Beer. Let's go with Pilk first, because there's nothing like wrapping a Friday on a good Joey Football rant. What we got, Pilk?
All right. Hold my beer. College football games last way too long. If the NFL can do it in 3 hours, I understand college used to go long because of the stopping the clock after every first down. They only do it in the last 2 minutes. Halftime is 20 minutes to the NFL's 12. That is stupid. Nobody needs a 20-minute halftime show. The commercial breaks are actually, I think, longer on national television than they even are on national TV for the NFL. And the NFL is the grandest moneymaker in all of sports. They're clearly getting their breaks in and making it plenty of dough. The game is too long. There's no reason the game should be flirting with 4 hours unless it goes into like 17 overtimes. Hold my beer. College football games need to be 3 hours.
You know, I'm going to do a pretty simple one. I just thought of this because this ties into yours, Pilk, and that's the officiating. And look, we've talked about it. The officiating was atrocious in the football game last night, but I've watched officials now pretty consistently for 30 years, but also the last couple weeks. And I've long been a critic of officials. And there are some terrible officials out there, especially in women's basketball. Awful officials. You don't ever know what they're going to call. They don't know what they're going to call. They do a terrible job of I don't want to say dictating the flow of the game, but keeping the game where there is a flow to it. In the men's game, generally you have people that they don't let things get out of hand. It happens. So that's my Hold My Beer. Officiating stinks. And I understand we can't be critical of them because nobody wants to officiate anymore, but blah. And I understand Phillips the ref, but blah. All right, a double shot of Hold My Beer from Joey Football, Joe Sampson, a.k.a. Joey Football.
So the first Hold My Beer I got is I want Howie Roseman burned at the stake for witchcraft for the deal he got Saquon Barkley at. That's the first thing. John Mara said, I'm going to lose sleep if he's not a Giant for life. Well, guess what, John? It's a never-ending nightmare you're living in now. In the last 9 touches Saquon Barkley has had that have ended at the 1-yard line, only one of them has resulted in a Saquon Barkley touchdown. It is absolute witchcraft to be able to pay your running back $13 million, your quarterback $50 million, and still produce 9 touchdowns on 9 touches. It's ridiculous. That's 9 drives where Saquon has had the ball, ended at the 1-yard line. You finish in the end zone. It is abysmal. The other thing that gets me fired up, everybody's going to say, Joe, but what about the draft compensation? What about the 4th-round conditional pick? I don't care about the 4th-round pick. If you wanted a draft pick for Saquon Barkley, trade him last year at the deadline because everybody gets so caught up in but the head coach and the quarterback go hand in hand. Somebody was ranting about the Bears. Oh, they've never gotten to choose a quarterback and the GM and the head coach all at once. That's the point. That is the whole point of picking the place you go to. I'm so sick of this. People are like, well, they took Mitch Trubisky instead of Patrick Mahomes. Nobody thought Patrick Mahomes was going to be Patrick Mahomes. That's why he went 10th. They traded up for him. The Bill said, I don't even know who this guy is. Why would we want him? That's exactly what happens. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of people saying things that the quarterback dictates things, the head coach dictates things, and the GM chooses both of them. He doesn't. The owner chooses it, signs the check, and you show up to work like an adult. Hold my beer.
What's your second one?
The second one was like a run-in on the QB and head coach. It was like a smooth transition.
That was it right there.
Yeah, it was
a
straight roll
Boilermaker.
through.
You dropped the shot into the beer.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, Boilermaker's a better word than the one I would have used.
I like it. All right.
NFL
rants I'm always here for.
No. Anytime Joey Football
Sick
goes
of
on a a Nesson style rant. I think it's no, not Nesson. Wouldn't be the network. What is it up there? It's MSG.
Yes.
When he
Or
goes on an
MSG.
MSG rant or an
Nesson's my
FAN
boys
rant,
up in Beantown.
Yeah, they go on imitation rants of the New York media.
Insane.
We got to get
no,
to Sean Murphy.
Not even close.
Our phone.
All right, yeah, we got to get to Sean Murphy. Hey, great job. Thank you very much, Joey Football. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Go Pirates.
All right, we'll talk with Sean Murphy as JP2 plays for a championship right after this.
You ready for this?
Oh, I'm very ready.
Okay, ready? You ready? Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
All right, JP2 head coach Sean Murphy, who has not lost a game. JP2 has not since he was on the Patrick Johnson Show. Just saying. Tonight, JP2 will vie for a state championship in the 8-man ranks as they will play Cary Christian, who is 9-1, and they'll play that over in Rocky Mount at Faith Christian. So that is the docket for tonight. 7 o'clock kick. So as the playoffs get underway for the public schools, 8-man football wraps up. And how did JP2 get here? Well, they knocked off Parrott on the road. We'll talk all about that in the matchup. Coach, congratulations. And let's start by wishing you and the fellas best of luck tonight.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. We're looking forward to having this opportunity, and looks like the weather's going to be pretty good. So we're excited to play tonight, and I think our guys are ready. And as I said, excited about this opportunity.
So since we last spoke with you, it's been nothing but road games. You felt like you might have gotten a home playoff game early, but wound up going to Faith. So this is the second time, I guess, in 3 weeks you will have played a game there. What has been what's been the special sauce for the guys here going on the road?
You know, this is actually, it'll be our 5th week in a row on the road. So our last 2 regular season games were on the road as well, and then our first 2, you know, the quarters and the semis. You know, I don't know. Just we made a few tweaks defensively going into the playoffs, and you know, it really paid off as far as against both Faith and Rocky Mount. I think our kids are finally getting healthy, so we're pretty much at 100%. And you know, we've got we've been playing really well, and I think we're starting to play our best football, which is, you know, really important when you get into this time of the year. So you know, just you know, I think being on the road, there's maybe a little bit of less distractions with everything that goes on at school and the end of the day, and you know, we've been in a really good routine and haven't changed anything. And so, as I said, I'm lots of good as far as where we are right now.
JP2 head football coach Sean Murphy on the Patrick Johnson Show. They play in the state championships tonight for 8-man football. You went on the road last week at Parrott, which there's a rivalry there. You've played them before in the championships, and you were a prohibitive underdog. Yet you win 23-22 on the road in a tough place to play. How did that game play out?
You know, kind of our game plan going in was to milk the clock offensively. So we were watching the back judge. Our quarterbacks were watching the back judge as he would start the countdown. So we tried to maximize every series, and we kind of felt maybe our best defense would be, you know, keeping our offense on the field. And we were up 7-0 at half, and you know, they got a little momentum in the second half, but our kids just hung tight and made big plays when they needed. I think when Parrott, you know, finally got up on us, we came right back 2 plays later and actually threw a deep touchdown pass, and we got some help with a freshman kicker who hit a 38-yard field goal. And kicking a field goal in 8-man football is very difficult because of the protection and the fewer number of players. And then we, again, needed him again to kick the winning extra point with 38 seconds left. And, again, very difficult in 8-man football. But our kids, you know, just stayed focused. You know, we did what we had to do. You know, Jalen Solomon is by far the best, you know, one of the best players in the league. You know, he was averaging well over 250 yards a game. We just felt like we've got to keep him under wraps. don't let him get any big runs. And we felt like, he needed to run the ball at least 30 times a game and keep him under or around 150, and we would have a real chance. And we kind of accomplished that. So I think our kids really stood up to the challenge. Parrott's always a tough place. First of all, they're a great football team for 8-man, and they're also very difficult to play at their place. And I think our kids were really locked in and focused going into the game and watched a tremendous amount of film. I think they were prepared, and being the underdog, sometimes it's a good thing because you got nothing to lose, and you can lay it all out in the line, and we kind of did, and we had one more point than they did. So it was a great win. Probably one of the biggest wins in the history of our football program. I would say it probably was at this point.
They've got your opponent tonight is going to be the Cary Christian, and they've got a junior quarterback and a senior receiver in particular that have put up big yards. Reed Harvey is the quarterback's name, and he has thrown for 30 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
There's some crazy numbers there.
Numbers, yeah.
So, yeah, he's been so productive. So that's exciting. Give us a little bit about the matchup tonight and how you see it playing out.
Well, Reed Harvey, he comes from a good gene pool. His father was a quarterback at NC State.
Yeah.
Yes, and obviously a great quarterback there. His brother was also a very talented quarterback. He had won a state championship at Cary Christian. I believe another one that played over at Cardinal Gibbons. So he comes from, as I said, a good gene pool. He's very talented. Throws a really, really good football, and he's pretty athletic. He can run and make plays. The key for us is just really kind of limiting him and putting some pressure on him. It's funny, all four of their receivers they're not big by any means. They're all probably around 5'9", about 160 pounds, and they're little scat backs, and they know how to run good routes, and they know how to find open space, and they make plays. So they're very good offensively, and with Reed probably would have had more touchdowns. However, a lot of their games were over at halftime, so he didn't get the chance to maybe to throw the ball probably as much as he would have liked. But yeah, Cary's a very good team, well coached. I think for us, maybe we're a little bigger than them size-wise, but it's definitely going to be a good matchup, and it's certainly opposites when it comes to offensive philosophy. That they want to air it out and spread you out, and we want to run the ball between the tackles. So it's definitely a contrast of offenses, but it should be a very good game, and we're expecting both teams to play a really good, solid football game.
Coach, I hope you bring home a state title. Best of luck to you all.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it, and as always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk about our program and our school community. So I really appreciate it.
He brought up Terry Harvey there, Pilk. NC State great quarterback. Terry Harvey has, I think, done really well in Raleigh. So did you know, Philip the Ref Pilkington, that there have been occasions, and this is about 15 years ago, where I did an NC State post-game broadcast?
No, I did not.
After football?
No.
I did a couple for UNC in Chapel Hill.
Yep.
And then I did an NC State one from a bar right up the road from Carter Finley. And Terry Harvey was my co-host. They'd beaten Navy. They ran a bunch of – this is, I think, the Bill O'Brien, the O'Brien, the guy who was coaching them back in the day. And Terry had a good time. I'm just going to say that. Terry had a good time at the game. So, and we had the post game for the Pack football. Yeah. But Terry was great. Terry had started tailgating early, I think.
Hey, nothing wrong with tailgating before broadcast.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks, it's a long day. It's a long day doing the the tailgating.
Especially
and
when
then
you
the
got to watch
postgame.
NC State football. I mean, come on. I mean,
Well.
if you're not trashed, what are you doing? Your eyes are going to bleed. Your ears are going to bleed. I mean, it's just, I mean, you got to think about your health, and your liver just takes one for the rest of the team, and you just get trashed because nobody wants to watch NC State football. That's just
All right,
what
some
it
house
is.
cleaning for you. Rose football in the playoffs on Talk 103.7 WTIB. 6:50, they will go on tonight. They're in the first round of the playoffs. Pilk at 6:40 or 6:45, is it, Pilk?
I'm 6:45. Trevor's 6:40.
6:45. Philip the Ref Pilkington will be on with the Washington Pampak playing in the first round of the playoffs here on 94.3 The Game. So stand by for that. We're going to get ready to wrap the show up here. Good luck to Coach Higgins and the Pirates. They are playing at the top of the hour in South Carolina. You can watch the first round of the NCAA soccer tournament on ESPN Plus. Don't forget Pirate basketball tomorrow, as we need a big crowd out at the Coliseum as ECU takes on George Mason. The Patriots taking on the Pirates, and we'll have radio coverage beginning at 3:30 here on 94.3 The Game and on 107.9 WNCT with Darren Vaught. Pilk, will you be in the studio tomorrow? What are you doing?
No, we are going to have William produce his first ever basketball game.
That's right.
Dom's going to make sure everything goes well. I'm going to be hanging out with the arena with you. I might even sit down next to you and Cy and just crack open a nice bottle from Minji's Bottling Company and watch it courtside. We'll see.
Okay. Don't count on that. All right. Great job by Joey Football. Good luck to JP2 and Coach Murphy as they go for a state championship tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, ESPN Plus. You can check me out there, and then live from Tiebreakers on Monday at 5 o'clock, followed by Inside Pirate Athletics at 6, and beginning the day with Talk of the Town on Monday as well. I'm invited to a Friendsgiving on Sunday, Pilk.
As long as they have Bills Chiefs on, then it's good.
It's at 4 o'clock, so it's very late. All right, very late for me. All right, hey, have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe out there, and we'll catch you on the Patrick Johnson Show Monday.